All right, let's bring our mutual friend in, Brad Forenza, and talk to Brad. Brad, come on in. Hey, Brad.
I'm stuck in tundra.
Tundra. Oh, wow. Well, as warm as it's been down here in the lower states, maybe that's not a bad place to be. So, thank you for joining us today. All right, first off, let's talk about how you two met. How'd that happen?
Oh, gosh. Well, Cady is a new friend and so generous and so accessible and obviously so talented. And we met through our mutual friend, Suzanne Ordas Curry, who has a hand in Around the Sun and I know is a supporter and collaborator of Cady's. And I'm not sure the exact moment, but Around the Sun season 3 is the first time Cady and I have gotten to work together in a scripted, project-oriented way. However, Cady might remember inviting me to participate in some of the playwright panels at Axial Theater, wherein she is a leader in Pleasantville, New York.
That's right.
So theater is a whole other realm of Cady's wheelhouse yet to be tapped.
All right, we have a clip about your season 3 of Around the Sun. Russell, would you show that, please?
Caterpillar slinks along a fallen dogwood tree. Insectivores could eat it, but instead they just let it be. 'Cause insectivores been snacking on bugs and ticks and fleas. And the caterpillar cries aloud, guess no one don't want me. Na-na, cried the caterpillar. Na-na-na-na-me. I'm a lowly little arthropod, and no one would want me. Na-na, cried the caterpillar, na-na-na-na-me. I'm a sedentary arthropod, and no one cares for me. But in the spring's renewal, when the forest starts to bloom, catch the beauty of a butterfly leaving his cocoon.
Oh, it was so good to hear Francois Clemens singing.
Yeah, lots of Amber Live tie-ins here in season 3.
Oh, wow. Jay Rodriguez. Yes.
Robert Finaro, me, Cady.
Yeah. Oh, it's great. It was great. And of course, Jay Rodriguez and Francois. That's great. All right. So, Brad, what can we...
So sorry.
What?
Someone auditioned for Around the Sun, a certain Rusty Peen, but that's yet to be figured out. I think there's a role for Rusty as well.
Oh, I think he can fit into almost anywhere. That's great. So just tell people what about Around the Sun, the concept and what you've done so far.
Sure. So I'm in Tundra, giving Amber a bit of a bit because season 3 of Around the Sun takes place in a snowy mountain region, maybe somewhere in the Northeast, perhaps. Around the Sun is episodic audio dramas that can be enjoyed in a self-contained kind of way, but also there are broader themes that cut across each of the individual seasons. So it's anthologized in that sense with personalities, talents, wonderful people, generous of time and spirit, who have been part of the project, and we're in season 3 now, taking place in the snowy mountain region.
And how long is each episode?
Each episode's about 10 to 15 minutes. Ms. McClain stars with Robert Finaro, a prior guest of yours, in an episode called Christmas Past. And what's unique about season 3 is that more so than other seasons, there is connective tissue from episode to episode. So this season, subtitled Pine Cones, functions most as a mini-series.
Very nice. Now, Cady, what did you think when you first saw the script that you are doing?
I was thrilled because I don't want to give away too much, but it's, again, one of those great challenges where I don't think one mimight necessarily go, oh, Cady McClain for this. So I was really glad that Brad thought of me. And I think it was such a treat to get to work with Mark Finaro. And the story and the scenes that we get to do are such a beautiful, wild arc and a wild trip. It goes all kinds of places in the forward and backward in time. And the characters are, connected in the past and yet struggling to find a future together. It's really beautiful writing, and I was just thrilled to get to be asked to be a part of it.
Thank you. And Cady's such a beautiful, modest person. Not only did I think of Cady and Robert, but I wrote it with their voices in mind. So I've been very lucky across seasons to have gotten my first picks for these roles. It helps to have a voice, a type in mind, though no one is just one type, but it helps to have a voice in mind when banging out these scripts, especially so far along in the series.
You write series 3.
When did I write it? A year ago, last summer, I started writing Pine Cones. These days, the seasons are written a year before they are heard by our listening audience, which thank you, listeners. And if you're not listening yet, you can find us wherever you listen to podcasts.
Now, you said you had their voices in your head. How about some of the other stories in this series?
Oh, gosh. So if you saw that wheel of headshots, every actor except for me is introduced in alphabetical order. So for the most part, all of those actors are playing members of a family. Cady and I are playing metaphysical siblings, and I don't mean that in an abstract way. I mean, we're playing siblings, and there are others in that group. Jay Rodriguez, Judy Gold, and Estelle Parsons plays the mother. I know, it's wacky, right? Here in season 3, that all of this is coming true, and it came true in season 2, and it came true in season 1 as well, working with Dreamcasts. And in season 1, disproportionately, I had the privilege of being mentored and coached by a lot of those awesome folks.
Estelle Parsons, how did you get Estelle Parsons?
I asked nicely. I had a body of work to show for myself. I had people like Cady, whose names were already attached to the project, and good intentions. And I think there are so many wonderful talents in the world who might not have projects that have popped as much as the talent that has been in Around the Sun, and I'm so grateful for all of them. I think it's the implied blessing of everyone else who said yes that gets a Cady McClain to say yes in season 3, that gets an Estelle Parsons to say yes in season 3, and so on and so on. And Amber, I name dropped you when I asked Jay Rodriguez. That didn't hurt either.
How about season 4? Have you already started writing that?
Well, I'm spritzing over here in Tundra, getting ready for season 3. So it's in my mind, and the conceptual seeds are being sown.
When does it hit the airwaves?
It'll hit the airwaves, season 3, Pine Cones, in fall 2023. And it'll run throughout fall 2023, throughout the holiday season. We do have a bit of a holiday arc this year. Again, Cady and Robert's episode is called Christmas Past, so a little foreshadowing there. Foreshadowing about the past.
Are they all released at the same time, or is it sporadic?
No, we drop a couple at once, and the last 2 years that's been late October, and that's the plan this year. And then it's every Wednesday thereafter through the new year.
Cady, have you ever done anything like this before?
I mean, I've done audio books that I've really enjoyed, but I have never done like an audio drama. So this was my first time doing it, and it was really fun. It reminded me of when I was a little girl. I used to listen to the Basil Rathbone Sherlock Holmes stories. Do you remember those?
Oh, yes.
Radio, and they were so much fun, and we would drive, of course, I grew up here in California, and we would drive for what seemed like forever, and you'd have to have something interesting to listen to on the radio. There were no phones, iPhones and things like that at the time. So it really struck me as something that I loved. And so when Brad asked me, I was like, oh, this will be fun. And it turns out it's it's like everything old is new again. There's a big rush to make these audio dramas. I think people are really enjoying them and eating them up. So I was really glad.
Such a cool medium.
What's that?
It's such a cool medium to imagine the world that you and Robert are creating, that Estelle and Jay and everybody else, Judy, etc., are creating with their mind's eye. Is just, it taps into one's imagination, maybe more so than everything being spelled out for them. And Cady and Robert's episode is particularly special. Now, they recorded together. I have the privilege of recording with everyone who's part of the ensemble. And it's an abstract episode. So there are things that we all had to kind of be on the same page about, like what was happening in the present, Christmas present, what was happening in Christmas past, that for the listener, they can kind of decide for themselves what's a metaphor, what's real. And if it was television or film, it would all have to be spelled out for them, which is totally cool as well. It's just a different kind of orientation.
Well, it sounds fascinating. I can't wait till it hits the airwaves. Cady McClain, thank you so much for talking to us. And Brad Forenza, again, a great guest. Thank you both for joining us on Amber Live.
Thank you.